It's until 1 on this Wednesday afternoon. Joining us live via Zoom from Washington, D.C., East Texas Congressman Nathaniel Moran. Congressman, thanks for being with us this afternoon.
My pleasure, Blake. Thanks for having me this afternoon.
Congressman, we want to talk about what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now, specifically when it comes to the House. This impasse remains on the budget bill. Bring us up to speed on where things stand as we speak right now.
Well, right now the bill is still in the Rules Committee. That's the procedural committee that has to approve the bill before it goes to the floor for a substantive vote. It's been in the Rules Committee since about 1 a.m. this morning. There's several amendments. In fact, as I understand it, about 500 amendments that are being offered by the Democrats. Lots of speakers on the Democratic side really trying to tie up the process to not let it get to the floor. But we anticipate that Rules Committee is going to push through and get us a vote either today or tomorrow.
And Congressman, if you could kind of explain to the people of East Texas what's at play here and what the back and forth is all about when it comes to this bill.
Well, a lot of the discussion here recently has been about really the inner discussions within the Republican Party about how do we get to a consensus to get us to 218 votes, and really in this instance we need 217 votes to get there. But right now in this Rules Committee it's about between the Democrats and the Republicans and simply two different visions of where we want to go in this country. We want to reduce spending, we want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse and a lot of these governmental programs, but we also want to keep taxes low for individuals, for families, for farmers, for our small businesses, and that only happens if we pass this one big beautiful bill. This reconciliation bill is the only pathway forward really to keep taxes low for our families back at home.
And Congressman, looking at the bill as it is right now, what do you like about it? What would you like to see added?
Yeah, there's a lot I like about this. Because it's such a wide sweeping bill, certainly there's some nitpicking that we could undertake. We could pick out something we don't like about the bill. It's a broad bill, 11 different committees of jurisdiction that had a hand in forming this bill. But here's what I really like about it is when we're talking about the impact on families in particular, a family, for instance, making $100,000, a family of four, if we were to do nothing this year, their taxes next year would be about $6,500 or more in most cases. But if we pass simply what was passed in 2017, extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you're looking at about $3,000 off of that. If we do this bill as it's currently written and do better than the TCJA, which is what we hope to do, then you're looking at even another almost $1,000 off of that on their tax bill. That's real money back in the hands of East Texans that they can decide what to do with it. And in my opinion, that brings in more liberty, and really that's what this bill is about.
And Congressman, the House Speaker Mike Johnson and some of these GOP holdouts are expected to meet later this afternoon with the president. What could come from that meeting?
Well, I think there's going to be some more arm twisting. We saw some of that yesterday. The Republican conference met with the president early yesterday morning, and frankly, he did some arm twisting, appropriately so, to remind people what's at stake here, that if we get caught up in one or two things that we don't like on either side, it could ruin this one big beautiful bill, this reconciliation package that overall provides great tax relief for our families, for our small businesses, for our farmers, for everybody that's involved. It brings more tax dollars back to the taxpayer, which is where it belongs. It also reduces spending. We're going to lose all that opportunity. I would say this to anybody that's watching is just be careful about the hyperbole that's coming out. We hear all kinds of things about you're going to destroy Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security, and none of that is true. And it takes more than just a 3-minute interview or conversation to go through all that. But I'm telling you, we have gone about our business to make sure that we preserve those programs for those who are eligible and that need it, but frankly, we're going to cut out the waste, fraud, and abuse.
And Congressman, the hope of the House Speaker is that this bill can be passed before you guys break for the Memorial Day weekend. Do you think that's going to happen?
That's still my hope, and I trust that the Speaker's going to get it done, and with this meeting set tonight with the White House, I think that that'll be the final touch to get us there. If it doesn't, again, it's not the end of the world. We're still going to keep progressing until we get this thing done. We know this is the number one thing that the President wants us to get done for him. There's about 15 different executive orders that are wrapped up into this of the 140 or so plus that he's issued. We want to continue to try to codify some of those great executive orders because we do not want every 4 years for the law to change for businesses and for families. So we want to give them more certainty looking forward. A lot of that's built into this package.
And Congressman, you mentioned it there. A lot of what's in this bill, it's key to fulfilling some of the president's promises that he made on the campaign trail and when he was running for office. What's the importance of making sure that these things happen?
Well, anytime you run for office and you dedicate yourself to certain issues and policy provisions, you want to come through, and the president's dedicated to do that, and we want to support him doing that. The American citizens were very staunch about supporting the agenda of President Trump in November. Gave us a sweeping wins in the House and the Senate and the presidency. As a result of that, we know that this directive really comes from the constituents, from the public, and we want to deliver to the taxpayers.
And Congressman, in the few minutes we have left, the president meeting this afternoon in the Oval Office with the South African president. Have you been able to see any of that interaction that happened just a short time ago?
No, I have not been able to see that. I've been caught up actually in continued Ways and Means Committee meetings and hearings, and just got done meeting with one of the secretaries. And so we are engaging continually on the tax policy work until it's done. Haven't had a chance to see that most recent news.
And Congressman, anything else you want to add before we wrap up here?
I would just add that, again, those rumors that are out there, be sure to test those rumors. I can tell you they're not true. I listened to a lot of the debate yesterday on the House floor about this issue and heard what the Democrats were saying about it. And frankly, it's hyperbole, and it's filled out of a foundation of untruth. And we are dedicated to ensuring that we get the One Big Beautiful Bill done. It's what will increase liberty, and it's what will fulfill the promises of President Trump, those promises that the American people voted for and put us in office to do.
East Texas Congressman Nathaniel Moran, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Blake.
All right, take care. Congressman Moran joining us this afternoon here on East Texas Now. Of course, we're going to keep you updated throughout the afternoon and through the remainder of the week on what is happening in Washington, and we're going to have a lot more coming up this afternoon on the 5 o'clock news as well with an update on what's happening in Washington. So